Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm Dean Seddon and today I'm joined by, I was trying to think of something like an adjective to put in front of it, Simon Miles. Simon Miles is the MD of our London office. Simon, we're going to kind of dive into it straight away. You were telephone terrorist in the 90s. Didn't want to offend you there. But now you're not a telephone terrorist. What's changed in the way you sell now?
What's changed in the way I sell? So, two things have changed. The time where we are, so the culture of what people want, expect, and look for. And I think the other one that's changed in the last 2 years is the pandemic. It's changed how people sell, what they look for, the methodology around selling. Certain things are much more accepted now. I mean, we were only discussing the other day about how 20 years ago, you'd get on a train, go to Manchester, you'd be in the client's office for 40 minutes, you get the train back, and you had to do that.
Yeah.
If you'd said, let's do a video call, they'd kind of, I'm not buying off you over a video.
Yeah.
So all that's changed. The pandemic has made sales technique, if you like, kind of the way you go about building a relationship, informing the client, getting the business. It's made it much more acceptable to do it like that than it has been before.
So let's just take a few pot shots, because on social media there's a lot of people saying cold calling isn't dead, cold calling's effective, but a lot of the tactics that they're saying are things like when you ring up the decision maker and you hit a gatekeeper, always conduct the conversation as if you know the decision maker. So if you're trying to contact Simon Miles, managing director of Maverrik, we've never met. I go to the PA. Oh, is Jim there?
Yeah.
Or is Simon there?
Yeah.
I think that's unethical.
Well, it's not new. And it's kind of not unethical, in my view. See, telephone terrorists, you come from a place where you want to build a relationship. The gatekeeper, can I speak to Mr. Seddon, please? It sounds like you don't really know them. It's kind of more formal. You want to be informal. You want to go straight through. But here's the thing, right? I think it's about rewinding back to certain things.
Before we rewind, though, I want to kind of... So I want to kind of pick on this one. If you get through with just that, that's not too bad. If you just ask for Jim and get through to Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about going a step further than that, where you imply that you've already spoken, or you try and confuse the gatekeeper?
Now, this is the thing. We used to teach, so it would be like, hi, can I speak to John, please? Have you spoken to him before? Well, we met at a show about 3 months ago. We had a brief conversation. He suggested I reached out to him and I had the opportunity. So you are implying that you've met, because I personally don't see anything wrong with that.
If you've met.
Yeah, but these are tactics that are used universally. These are tactics that are used universally to... See, what you've got to do is you've got to create an environment for the gatekeeper, and you've got to create an environment for John. So you're not going to go to John, hey, John, remember me? Because you haven't met. But the gatekeeper wants to do their job properly. And you need a relationship with that gatekeeper. So there's a way of softening that. So it's, hello, Mrs. Gatekeeper or Mr. Gatekeeper. I wonder if you could help me. I'm looking to speak to John. We met a few months ago at a show. I haven't reached out to him since. So he might not remember me. Hopefully he does. Is he available? Where's the grey area?
I don't see anything wrong with that. But I'll give you an example. I've had somebody ring here for me and say, we've been talking on email.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Yeah.
But it's not about... you can't... I think barefaced lies, because the person, you're going to get found out, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm old school, because I've come from this world, because I was 20 and I was in a room full of 25 guys and we were just banging those phones, I have respect for somebody if they can get through to me properly.
Properly, yeah.
Properly. So
by that you mean you're using your sales skills, but you're not crossing a line in saying something that isn't true.
Well, let me put it like this. We went to a show in London 6 weeks ago. Can you remember every single person that came up to you and spoke to you?
No.
I can't. I have had people since that show tell me that we spoke on their stand, and I know full well we didn't. So that's disingenuous. They don't get my respect. If they'd have softened that down and said, hey, we had 2 minutes, I met you, I came to your stand, or I said hello, or you might not remember this, but we met by the speed working event, we said hello, we exchanged kind of formalities, pleasantries. I wanted to follow up, I've looked you up, I've found you, I've researched you, I've looked at what your business do. I think it's certainly worth us having a quick conversation if you've got a couple of minutes, if I'm brief.
Yeah.
I think if you're setting it up like that, we always used to introduce ourselves as have you got a couple of minutes if I'm brief? A lot of people will teach cold calling and say you just get into your pitch. Don't worry about whether they're busy or not. You're going to get one chance. Again, I don't buy that. If someone's busy, they're busy. They're not going to listen. They're just going to be waiting for you to pause so they can get in and say, listen, you caught me at the wrong time. So again, I think you should set it up. I think you should say to people, have you got a couple of minutes if I'm brief? Yeah, okay, I've got a couple of minutes. Right, this is why I wanted to call you. And it's not about me. Mm-hmm. It's about you. So that's what a good cold call will do. I've looked into your business. I've researched what you do. I think I understand the parameters of what we do and how that might fit. And I wanted to explain to you what I'm talking about.
So how many people are actually doing that? Really?
Well, there's 2 points here, isn't it? How many people are actually doing it? Because that's what we do nowadays. And how many people are doing that properly? And they're not. People will cold call me and they will pretend like they know me and they will pretend like I want what they've got. And I cut them off. And I say, and I'm very nice about it because I know where they're sitting. I know how it feels.
Well, they're just doing it to earn a living.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. So I never go, listen, why are you calling me? Go away. Because I've been on the other side of it. I say, listen, nice pitch. It's not for me. I'm a bit busy at the moment. You'd be far better off finding somebody else to speak to.
So somebody then comes back to you. I know we're kind of going off into a little rabbit warren here, but we'll move on. That cold caller comes back to you and says, so you're really saying you haven't really heard me yet and you're dismissing something. It could be a great opportunity for you and you're just...
Yeah, but it's like anything, isn't it? Cold calling is about, like you always say, cold calling is about finding that person at the right time on the right day in the right mood. They've woken up and they've gone, if only someone would call me today about. So that's what cold calling is.
So sometimes I get a bee in my bonnet when somebody kind of does this and kind of gets past a member of the team by telling fibs. I'll get on the call and I'll be like, so where's the email?
So you don't have any respect about the fact. So email's a lie.
Yeah.
There's a lie. There's a factual lie there.
Yeah.
But if somebody said we met briefly.
Oh, if we met briefly.
But if you didn't and you can't remember, do you not have a little bit of respect for the fact that the tenacity has got them to the DM? The decision maker.
Yeah. But if they've done it where, like, how often do I go to events? We went to that event the other week. Yeah. But if I can pretty much remember who I spoke to. If I've got so when was this again? Tell me about it.
Yes, you're trying to find them out all the time.
Right.
As opposed to what they actually have for you might be worthwhile.
But then when I go, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll come across the really tenacious ones where I'm quite polite. I'll never slam a phone down on somebody. I'll go, no, thank you, not interested. And then they'll ask another question. I go, I'm not interested.
What is it that you're not interested in?
Yeah, and they're just like trying to. It's like, I got to one, and it was really totally irrelevant for me. They were talking to me about phone lines or something which I don't even deal with, and I was like, I don't deal with this. This is not for me. And I get loads of these calls all the time, emails. Not looking to change, but we can. And it was like, I really don't want to put the phone down, but this is really like starting. So I ended the call. I said, look, let me just be honest with you. I know what you're trying to do, but I'm really not interested. And quite frankly, I'd rather eat my own shit. He started laughing and he said, fair enough.
Yeah. And see, that's the naivety of the cold caller then. See, the cold caller would be better off saying, okay, I'd appreciate that. I'm looking for 2 minutes with the right person. Would you afford me the 2 minutes with the right person? Who is that? Can I speak to them? Because like everything else, content prior to discovery means you never discover anything. So if I can have 2 minutes, see if there's some relevancy, that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
And if they set it up again, see, cold calling is about stages. It's about getting a yes out the first stage. And the first stage is, are you the right person? Will you listen to me for 2 minutes? No, I'm not. Who is? Can I have 2 minutes with him? So let's say it's Martin, right? I don't know it's Martin. Mm-hmm. So who's the person who deals with that?
Yeah.
But would you be, able to give me 2 minutes with them to explain what we do? There could be some value. I don't know if what you're doing at the moment isn't servicing you effectively. And I can only do that by finding out. I'm looking for 2 minutes with them. Well, look, the person's name is Martin. You can ring him if you like. It's up to him whether he gives you the 2 minutes. That's fine by me. I'm out of there.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get to Martin. Martin. Now here's where I would now. Again, here comes the little bit disingenuous. I would say, Martin, Dean suggested I spoke to you.
But I see. You have spoken to Dean, right? You have spoken to Dean, so I wouldn't be as upset with that.
Yeah.
As anything else. And I'd say something to that on LinkedIn. If I was talking to somebody on LinkedIn and they said, I'm not the right person, it's this person, I'd probably engage with that other person, reach out to them and say, look, I was talking to whoever and they suggested you're the best person to speak to about this, and ask them for a conversation.
But it's all about how they say it, right? It's all about how they say it to you. It's like anything. It's all about a relationship. It's all about, Dean, totally get that. I've called you out the blue. I appreciate that. I apologise for that. It's no other way of me getting into the business. Mm-hmm. I just need 2 minutes with Martin. It could be cost. It could be efficiencies. It could be function. I don't know what it is right now. But what we're doing is appealing to a lot of businesses like you who are moving from their current providers. So there's no reason at this stage to say you wouldn't have a look. Mm-hmm. So if I can get 2 minutes with Martin, I can find that out.
Yeah.
Could you give him just a heads up that I might be calling?
And I don't think anybody listening or watching to this, with the way you're approaching it, would say that there's anything wrong with it.
But that's experienced cold calling. So what you're doing is you're looking at people who are put on the phone at a certain age without experience, and they're just told you make 100 calls a day and you get 5 brochures out. Brochure out, metaphorically, for they want some information. Don't care how you do it, but if you don't do it, you might not be here tomorrow.
Yeah. Pretty ruthless, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it kind of forces people, I've got to hit the numbers to get the result. So how do you think, we mentioned the pandemic and how things are changing and the fact that like the world's moved on, work from home, all that stuff. How do you see sales changing now? How is it different?
So there's 2 things, right? And there's definitely, there's probably more than 2 things, but there's 2 things that I'm focusing on right now. The one is USP. Mm-hmm. There is no USP. What you do is unique to you.
Yeah.
What Dean does, what Maverrik, what we do is unique to Maverrik.
Yeah.
What's remarkable about what we do is not that 30 companies aren't doing it as well. What's remarkable about what we do is that we are remarkable. What's unique about what we do is that you are remarkable, right? So you become the USP.
Yeah.
What people used to think was, I have a USP. It plugs in easier. It loads up faster. It costs 10% less. That's my USP. And everyone buys a USP. I don't think that exists anymore. And I don't think it's existed for 10 years. And I'm not being conservative.
There's too much stuff now.
It's everywhere. I can get anything I want at any time of the day. I can, if I'm a technology company, and I need a cloud services provider, I might go to AWS or someone like that. I might go to all manner of other cloud services providers, but they all pretty much do the same thing. So what's the decision between using company A, B, or C? It has to come down to the person or the people, the culture, the fit. What's remarkable about that company that suits what I'm doing? So that's kind of the first thing about how things have changed. Then you've got this kind of post-pandemic thing. You've got this. There's an advantage to the ability. I don't have to travel 200 miles to spend 40 minutes with you.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's acceptable to you to join me on a video call and buy from me on a video call. The downside of that is you get a lot of window shoppers now. People will go, yeah, I'll have a 30-minute video call with you. I haven't got to get out of my seat. Why not? So you get a lot of meetings for me, not meetings for meeting's sake. You get a lot of this kind of like, I'll have a meeting with you, but I don't really want to buy it and I don't really need it. Whereas if someone used to say to us, come to my office in Manchester, I use Manchester because we were in London, come to my office 250 miles away. They were making a commitment to that stage of the sales process.
Yeah.
So I knew.
And they realised that you were taking an effort it would be disingenuous to invite somebody for a meeting just because you were curious.
Yeah. And so when I was saying earlier about just rewind a minute, right? I used to get told all the time. So I was training sales teams in the 90s. I was training in the early 2000s. And there isn't a salesperson in the world who hasn't turned around to me and said one of two things and a load more. But let's just focus on two. It's the leads. The leads are no good.
Yeah.
It's the market conditions. Yeah. People don't want what we've got. They don't need what we've got. The banks are now doing this better. There's loads of other people doing what we got. It's the market conditions. And I used to say to them, I'll let you into a little secret. It's not the leads and it's not the market conditions. It's you. You haven't aligned what that customer actually needs with what you've got. So I used to say stuff like, it's a toolbox, right? Sales is a toolbox. I have loads of tools. If I want to dismantle this table, I don't take a hammer to it. I take a spanner because it's built with nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
If I take a hammer to it, I'm going to be here all day and it's not going to work. So that's what sales is. So what do you actually need? What's going on for you right now with what you're doing? What is the part of the solution that you're currently plugged into that pains you, that causes you an issue, that doesn't work as efficiently as you want, that challenges your business process? How can I improve that? Because we all do the same thing. How can I improve? It might be as simple as the person that you're talking to. Well, when I ring them up and I've got something I need to do, I can never get hold of my account manager. They always seem to be too busy. Great for them, loads of growth. Bad for me, because as the customer, I can't get hold of the person I want to talk to. Well, that's really interesting, because what we do is all of our account managers have a maximum of 10 accounts. You'll get my mobile number. I mean, this was an easy giveaway that we used to do on the phones, on the cold calling. It's like at the end of the call, if it had gone well, I would say to you, Dean, take a note of my mobile number, my personal mobile number. You can get hold of me at any time, and I'll endeavour to answer your questions as efficiently as I can. So you're going to come away from this call now, and you're going to perhaps think of things that you didn't ask me. Call me on my mobile. And I answer my mobile pretty much up until about 9 or 10 at night. So if you're sitting there at 7 o'clock and you think, call me, they'd never call. Because nobody does. Because if you roll reverse, you sit there and think, I'm not going to call the guy now, it's 8:30. But the giveaway is so powerful.
Yeah.
And you go, bloody hell, no one's ever given me their personal mobile number. I've just made myself remarkable.
Yeah.
I've made myself into a USP for you.
Whereas your rival might be saying, well, we've got a dedicated 0800 number.
Yeah, up until 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And salespeople used to look at me and go, I'm not giving my personal number. Salespeople used to look at me and say, I'm not giving my personal mobile number. And I'd say they'll never ring it. You will if you get one call in 1 month, I'll give you £50. They will never ring you. But the giveaway, we used to call it a freebie, it's like inviting someone to a party when you know they're already busy.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to come to my party? I'm having a fantastic... you've got a wedding. You knew it already.
Yeah.
But the guy comes away going, wow, he's invited me to his party. I'm important to him.
So when you talk about the USP, and there's the two angles, isn't there? And I think a lot of people get kind of stuck up on this bit of this is what we think is important about our product versus what the customer thinks is important about the product. And a lot of salespeople, business owners even, will get so excited about the product itself, the service itself, they'll start to communicate in ways that the client goes, I don't care about that. We've had scenarios where people can't actually tell you what they do, and you sit there for half an hour and they talk about the gadget or the this or the that or the other, or very vague benefits.
Yeah. Listen, features, benefits morph together, and you say to people, what do you do? And they give you a kind of feature morphed into a benefit, and they don't actually know what they do for the client. And kind of coming back to your other question, alongside this is how's selling changed in 2022, and and particularly I think the pandemic did an awful lot of this, is I want a relationship with my supplier now. And I believe in this word reciprocity. It's not just about I'm selling this, do you want to buy it? And I'm going to be a jolly nice person when you buy it. I'm going to be really good to you. It's about what else can we do together? Talking to people and saying, I have a huge network. And I will say to people, if they meet me at the same point, I'm not just going to dump this on everybody, but I'll say to people, look, I've got a big network. I'm sure there's other things that you're looking for right now. Feel free to ask me. Do you need a good lawyer? Do you need a this? Do you need a that? Feel free to ask me. I'm of a certain age now. I've built up a phenomenal network. I could pretty much introduce you to virtually anyone on the planet. Maybe it's second or third degree connection, but I can get to most people now. Who do you need? What do you need? Now that's a relationship. Now that means that we stick, and that means you come back for more. And I think if you're selling on that basis now, it's kind of, what can I do for you outside of what you're going to spend money on?
Yeah.
And conversely, what can you do for me? If we build up that business relationship based on reciprocity, based on almost, it's that kind of human psychology. If I do a favor for you, you feel like you owe me something. If you build up a relationship, and it can't be disingenuous. This has to be 100% genuine. There's no nonsense here. But if you build up a relationship based on that, they become a client, but they become a professional friend, if you like.
Yeah.
And I've got lots of those. Where I can call them up, depending on what I'm doing, and say, listen, I don't know if you know of, this is what I'm doing at the minute. This is something that we're working on. I don't know if, and 9 times out of 10, they will all say, give me a minute, let me have a think. Now what that does is that builds up a relationship that's based over a period of time, and it builds up a relationship that survives longevity. And the more mature, and I'm not talking about age in terms of the way that they think, the more mature salesperson, if they do that, they'll win an awful lot more business.
And it helps them in their long-term career, because they're not, we're not lifers in companies these days. People, I think somewhere it was like the average is now something like 2 years in one company.
Yeah, I think everyone's come out of the pandemic, and that it's a more caring world. It's there's a lot more life balance. It's not just about money or their cost of living is going up. That is becoming a little bit more prevalent currently. But people are looking for something that suits their lifestyle. And they want to work with people who match their cultural fit, if you like, their belief system. So I will deal with somebody if the belief systems match. That wasn't the case 20 years ago for me. I've got what we sell. Do you need what we sell? There you go. Are you happy? Yes, you are. Goodbye. And I'd move on to the next one. Whereas now, people have, I think everyone's, we've had the pandemic, then we go into the situation in Ukraine. Most people are sitting there thinking, I don't want my life to be about nuts and bolts anymore. I want my life to be about relationships, and I want to feel that there's something more tangible there, more substantial.
Meaning almost, isn't it?
Yeah, more meaning. Now, if you apply that to the sales process and you take that into building relationships with people, what we do at Maverrik, yes, we do LinkedIn, social selling, sales training, but actually we've got it now. We've got it 2 or 3 clients, and we're having conversations with them about service provision, and we're both looking at it going, they don't have this. They clearly don't understand this. This bit isn't joined up. And I've got 30 years of sales experience. You've got the same. You know what? Can we have another hour next week? I've got an idea for you. I'm just looking at what you're doing, and something's kind of jumping off the page at me, and I'd like to see if I can help you with it. I don't have a product for that. I don't have a cost for that, but I'll give them that. And I did it with somebody the other day. They had a particular product in a particular market, in a particular niche. And her issue was that she didn't understand how to business develop, how to go and get clients. I didn't charge her for the time. I sat with her for 45 minutes and drilled down into 3 or 4 points. Who was her market? Where were they? And what was the message to capture them? Now, she's gone away and she remembers me, and we have a relationship now.
Yeah.
And next time somebody comes along and goes, oh, LinkedIn, I don't know how we're going to make that work. We're struggling with it.
Talk to somebody. So, I mean, going off topic, but it's kind of related. For 2 years, we've kind of lived with uncertainty and an underlying anxiety. Yeah? You run a business, it's like, hang on a minute, the government's telling us how to do things, when we can open, when we can do things, but that we've never experienced before. And if you're a business owner, it's like, how do I operate in this environment where everything doesn't seem to feel like the foundations have gone, that we banked on, the stability that we've banked on has gone. So you've had that underlying anxiety and uncertainty. And now we have inflation, we have, a war in Europe. that is causing lots of economic issues, as well as obviously tragic loss of life and all that stuff that's going on over there. But there is this like kind of underlying anxiety that's rolling through things, that's making people nervous. It's making people uncertain about investment decisions, and should they go in this direction, should they go in that direction. How do you think that presents itself as a salesperson? Because you were saying earlier about it's not the market conditions. How would you practically apply that to a time when everybody's feeling that little bit of...
Right, so this is really interesting, because I've looked into this an awful lot, and something really caught my eye a little while back, and this doesn't come from me. This is a little bit of research that I've done that somebody presented to me, and it sits with reciprocity and comfort in relationships. So what's happened over the course of the last 2 years, there's a chemical situation that's occurred in human beings, and it revolves around two chemicals that our bodies produce. One is cortisol and one is dopamine. Mm. In high levels of anxiety, your brain will increase its production of cortisol. It will start to flood your body with cortisol. Cortisol inhibits you making a decision. Mm-hmm. It sends you into a state of flux. Now, anyone who's had COVID, particularly the sort of COVID I had this period of in the middle of the COVID, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't focus. I was kind of feeling all right. And I sat there, I opened up my laptop for fun. I just sit on the sofa today and I'll use my laptop. As soon as I opened it, I looked at it, the brain wasn't working. It's the same thing. So you come into the pandemic, everyone goes into this state of anxiety. The body is producing cortisol. You cannot make a decision. It will not allow you to make a decision. In order to, it inhibits the production of dopamine, which is what you would make a decision on. And funnily enough, a lot of people that I've spoken to subsequently, as a result of the last 2 years, will tell you they've got huge pipelines with nobody closing. Mm-hmm. They've got these enormous pipelines of people they've spoken to who said, I really like what you do, and yet they can't hop off the fence onto that side of the grass. They cannot make a decision. So you come out of COVID with this situation of anxiety. There are other physical factors that are going on here. Money, don't know where the business is going to be, don't know what's going to happen. So
they're all adding to that cortisol.
They're all adding to it. Then you come out of the pandemic and everyone goes, okay, we're allowed back out. It looks like we're at the, we can see the wood for the trees. We're at the end of the road. And Russia invades Ukraine. And everyone goes, oh my God, is this Third World War?
Yeah.
And bang, it goes up again. Cortisol, anxiety, can't make a decision. I don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen to my business in a year? Will we be at war? And it happens again. Thankfully, although, press in the last couple of days would suggest otherwise, it's settled down a bit. But what you've got a number of businesses with vast pipelines with nobody making a decision. So the question is, how do you take that pipeline to closed clients? And I believe it comes down to reciprocity and relationships. People aren't going to go, hey, I've dropped the price by 10%. Do you want to make that decision? Hey, we added another bolt on. Do you want to make that decision? They want comfort in the decision they're making. They want to
confidence or comfort?
Comfort, I think. Comfort. Confidence, they can find confidence everywhere. If you go on Maverrik now, if you go on LinkedIn, we're everywhere.
Yeah.
I can list off the 5 blue chip PLCs that have signed with us in the last year. I can give you confidence we do the right thing. It doesn't change anything for how you feel about your situation. They want comfort in what they're doing. And how do you build that comfort? It comes back to how do you build trust? They want to trust that they, not that you, that they are making the right decision.
Yeah.
You build trust through consistency, integrity, doing what you say you're going to do, all that usual kind of stuff. But building that relationship, having that moment with that customer, that potential customer, and saying, listen, I'm in the same boat. Only the other day, XYZ. Only yesterday, ABC. I have that same problem. Well, it's interesting because I found this. I don't know if this might work for you. It comes back to what I was saying about that other client. We're looking at what they're doing and thinking, well, this isn't what we do. This is what we've got experience in. You need some help on this. I'm going to give you that help. I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to send you an invoice for it. I'm going to give you that help. You build that relationship so that they have comfort that working with you is all going to be okay.